Negotiating contracts, negotiating contracts, negotiating contracts. Whew, this is the part where a lot of people start sweating, they get nervous, they don't like talking about money, they don't like talking about, they're scared to speak up about what they truly want and everything. So I'm gonna give you a quick crash course on negotiating, right? The number one thing, or one of the top things is understanding this concept here. People will say yes when they feel understood, not when they understand you. Once again, let's say it again. People will say yes when they feel understood. When they feel understood, not when they understand you. Why is this important? Because so many people come to a negotiation with, yeah, this is what I want, this is why I want it, and this is why I'm not leaving here without it. That's not the way to go. And in line with that is, people will say yes when you enter a conversation that's already happening in their mind, right? And that's just another way for them to feel like, okay, like this person's following me. They understand where I'm coming from, right? So how are we gonna do this? It's gonna start with finding out what are their desires. What is this, what's the hiring practice owner's desires, or what's this organization's desires? Why do they want an associate? What are their fears? Like maybe in the past they've had associates who they perceive to be lazy. Maybe they had associates who were too abrasive towards the patients, or maybe they had associates who were really disorganized or mean to their staff. You want to figure out what their fears are, so that in your mind later on, when it comes to mentioning what you want, you can also put them at ease and calm them on these fears. And you want to essentially find a way to ask them, like, let's say this goes through, let's say this deal goes through between me and you. A year from now, right? Looking back, let's fast forward a year, and we're looking back on the year that we had. What does an awesome, ideal year look like for you? And let them tell you, okay? Let them run that through. So now you essentially have a lot of answers that you're going to use in the negotiation process, because you, prior to coming in to the negotiation table, or whatever the case may be, you're going to have a list of things that you feel like are nice to have. They're not necessary, but there's things that I would like in the contract. There's things that you want. You're pretty confident. These are things that I want, and there's things that you must have. You will absolutely not sign any contract unless these things are in there. And you'll also have a list of your, in line with this, you'll have a list of your desires, your fears. So once you have their desires and fears and you have your own, then you can say, okay, can I meet their expectations? Could I pacify these fears that they have? Then you'll decide, okay, is this position for me or it's not for me? If it is for you, then you can now use what they just told you, right? Is their fears. You can, if their fear is that they don't want to hire an associate to come in here and be lazy, or to give them a hard time, or to give the dentist a hard time, you can say, hey, listen, I truly understand that you want to grow your practice. You want your practice growth to happen year after year, and you want to see production numbers go up, every month. And look, I'm not lazy, right? If there's an opening in my schedule, I'd rather be going to the hygiene, pulling patients from hygiene into my schedule, asking them, hey, do you want to stay to complete this treatment? Rather than just going and surfing the web. If I have a patient cancellation, I'm very proactive, right? Because once again, that was one of their fears, of hiring someone who they perceive to be lazy, right? And you say, and for that reason, I want 35% of collections, because I know I'm going to work for it, and I know this is going to be a good situation for the both of us. So that is just, that's just off the top of my head. That's just one way that you can tie in what their fears are and how you can counteract those fears with your wants and your desires, right? So there's so many negotiating strategies that you could use, but that's just, it's just a quick one. So once again, negotiating contracts, please, this is going to be probably one of the most important things you can learn about negotiating. People will say yes when they feel understood.